Oh, this is what you should feel like after a night out of listening to this album. Welcome back, you're with me.
I see Snap.
The musical alias of Sam Shepard is back with Cascade, his first solo project in 5 years. The sands of time are slipping. Run! Run! Sam Shepard, the British DJ, composer, producer, fairly unique in his process of mixing genres, blending electronic, jazz, classical, ambient. With a background in neuroscience, his music is scientifically precise and quite soulful, and even a little bit chaotic. Hopefully that has something to do with the brain, but who knows? His music ranges from ambient, introspective compositions to high energy, dance floor ready anthems. Anthems, you know what I mean. Before this album, he has collaborated with many iconic figures, like jazz legend Pharoah Sanders. What's interesting though about this project is it marks almost a step back, reaching towards his earlier roots in minimal tech house, which honestly I kinda love. Whilst he might be taking more inspiration from his former passion, you can still find traces of more recent influences here and there. But if you're a newer fan of Floating Points, you might not find this album to your liking. If you came into this expecting ambient soundscapes and dreamy textures, you might want to leave the club, because it's kinda banging. The first track, Vocoder, as the name might suggest, is a bunch of sounds run through a vocoder, which is paired with this really tight percussion. As the song builds up, you're introduced to a wide array of texture. It's not until like 6.5 minutes when the song becomes kind of chaotic, making you feel like you're watching a live set in the club. Throughout this track and many others on the albums, the hi-hats sound so good. Why am I focusing on hi-hats, you say? Well, in my opinion, hi-hats kind of make techno and house. In my opinion, it's the one thing this genre has to get right for me, and this album kinda nails it. Even on Vocoder, when you're introduced to the bells and shakers, they sound so lush, but without being completely overpowering, adding this really nice sweet layer and texture. People think it's really easy to make tech house, but it's not. It's really hard to find that balance when everything's so minimal or, protruding. It can easily be done wrong. The next track, Key 103, is slightly more relaxed, but nonetheless still a bit of a banger. Again, the tight drums that you'll hear throughout the album. Then there's this really nice synth layer creating like a melody, but it's matched with this detuned synth that kind of sits underneath. The way these two textures grow into something haunting is quite compelling. Everything starts to mix and becomes distorted until bang, this like really dirty, heavy bass synth comes through and totally drives the groove from here on. And the album is full of these small journeys, and you can hear similar things on tracks like Del Oro, Fast Forward, and Ocotillo. The latter starts off more ambient with these beautiful harps and arps. Yep. But the song slowly becomes darker and faster, leading into this weird bass trap of like hi-hats and drums. I think this moment sounds even cooler in headphones. The way it's panned feels tailored for that like immersive experience. I would give it a go. For me, the main highlights of the album are the heavier and more chaotic tracks like Birth 4000, seemingly inspired by high energy music from the 80s. This like arpeggiated bass really ramps up the energy. Afflecks Palace is another standout track. It feels more like an audible journey through different genres and time. As chaotic and mesmerizing it is, you spot little elements of acid house and jungle just peeking through. Then coming to the last part of the album with the last two tracks, which come as a duo. Tilt Shift starts with this slow build up of ambient pads, eventually spiraling into a slurry of drums and these like rusty samples, before some haunting vocals briefly take over. The contained madness continues until seamlessly flowing to the last track on the album. Wah! Ablaze, where the album's tone really shifts into something more ambient. And honestly, I was left a little bit disappointed. I was hoping for a bigger finish, but I do kind of get it. It's the end of this like chaotic album that leads you out nicely, kind of gently pushing you out. But I don't know, I just wanted something a bit more like chaotic and just bang, like a really big finish. Despite that, I enjoyed it a little bit. I did find it a bit boring after everything else, but it was still a bit of a nice listen. Overall, this album is great. There's so much texture throughout the entire journey. The drums are tight and carefully selected, with hi-hats sounding really crisp and well mixed. If you're not into this kind of energy, it might leave you slightly confused, especially after listening to some of his more ambient stuff. But I think this album still shows that drive and creativity that really got him noticed in the first place. Either way, I think I would give this album an 8.5 out of 10. Thank you so much for listening. Let me know if you enjoyed it down below. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, whatever you like, and hopefully I will catch you on the next one. Thank you very much.